What's going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of Kenna Heaven. Thanks for tuning in and tapping in. If you're returning or new, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. And as always, I like to start these off with a disclaimer by apologizing for any noises in the background in advance and anything of that nature, and to also state that these are for entertainment purposes only, and to always do your own research, to come to your own conclusions, to make your own decisions, to have your own answers, and that I believe in your ability to do so and to be your own person. So, this whole month of November, I'm going to be talking about manifestation and how to get the things that you so desperately desire. So, how do we do that? For some of us, we have to unlearn what we've learned about these particular manifestations. Like, for example, if you grew up in a very poor household, most of the time you're not taught that money is something that's very easy to obtain. So, when you think about manifesting money, it's not something that brings positive associated feelings or brings a positive associated feeling with that. Why? Because that's your belief. And your beliefs are thoughts that continuously recycle. So you have to undo those beliefs. And if, for example, you grew up in a household where the family portion of all your relationships, or like the relationships in your family were very how do I say this? They weren't very good relationships. It wasn't very healthy environments. Then most of the time you believe that either they did something to hurt you on purpose, or you are not good enough to be loved, or the opposite, where you're like, I hate these people fucked me up, I blame all these people for all of my problems, and I need a shit ton of therapy because of them, and they need a shit ton of therapy because they're fucked up. And so it's just, a messy situation overall. Then that is a belief that you've created for yourself. You believe that these people are fucked up. You believe that these people fucked you up. You believe that you're not worthy of love, or these people are not worthy of love. And so that is a belief that you've created. So when, I don't know, for example, if you were trying to manifest a source of community, or you feel lonely, you're like, I don't want to feel lonely anymore, then you're going to have to look at your beliefs that are based off of the community that you already had. Most people are using the traumas that they learned or that they've had as a learning tool. They're using their traumas as a compass. Most of the time, most people use their trauma as a compass because when something happens to you, you learn from it. You either learn to stay away from these types of people, or you learn to go towards these types of people, depending on what you take from the situation. And it's not always the greatest or the most, how do I state this? It's not always the most useful information. So because of this, most people are doing stuff based off what they learned. And because they learned it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Everybody's just doing stuff at their best, right? Everybody's just doing their best. Doesn't mean that their best is absolutely the greatest. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, because most people are using what they've learned through their life experiences to create more life experiences or to navigate their current life experiences, then you have to unlearn some things. Just because the best way that I can explain this, because I'm not good at explaining things, is that if I taught myself that every single girl out there is gonna play me, they're gonna play me like a fucking flute. So my best option is to never go after a girl ever again. And then I'm trying to manifest getting a girlfriend, but I don't actually go out to pursue anybody. How does that make any sense? Like, I'm not trying to make any connections, and when people come up to me, I am guarded with the connections that I'm making. So, because what I've learned through my experiences is that every single girl's just gonna play me like a flute, then I don't, go after these things. And because I don't go after these things, I never encounter any possibilities of having somebody change that for me. And the only person that could change that for me is me, myself, and I. So I have to unlearn the wisdom I think I've learned. Unlearn the things that I think I've learned that are for my benefit. Because most of the time, they're not for my benefit. And most of the time, we're living out of a survival instinct because even the things that hurt our feelings, we think that they're going to kill us. Because our brain, our psychological scars, are psychological scars. And we think, oh my gosh, this is the end, this is it. I think that because there's so much pollution in the world that the world's just gonna boop, done, dead. But somehow we're still here. Somehow we're still fine. So think about the things that you want to create and what category do they fall under in the categories of life itself. Like, for example, if you say, I want to manifest money, that falls under the finances of life, right? Your life finances. What beliefs do you have associated with finances? Do you have good beliefs? Did you grow up in an abundant mind state with parents or guardians or family that would help you and push you in the state of abundance? People who are like, yeah, we're going to make money. This is easy to make. This is how you make it. And this is how you spend. And this is how you are responsible financially. Or did you grow up in a household where your parents, your guardians, your family, people in your life were like, you're never going to get money again, so you need to save that? What is your belief associated with that finance, with that specific element of your life? And once you've looked at that specific element, is it good or is it bad? Good in the sense that it's going to help you. Bad in the sense that it's going to stop you and it's going to hinder you. For example, the reason I say that you need to unlearn certain things is because those certain things can either help you or stop you. And most of the time, we're doing it out of a survival instinct or like a survival mode rather than to do it for our benefit and for something that actually is going to help us and benefit us. So, if you're trying to manifest $1 million and you're sitting there and thinking about, well, what was my finances? What was it like growing up as a kid? Did I grow up with parents who taught me financial literacy? Did I grow up with people in my life who encouraged making money, who encouraged spending money, who encouraged doing the spending and the making responsibly? Was I brought up in a household where we didn't have anything to eat? We didn't have anything to our name because we didn't have any money. And after you look at that and you say, okay, well, my specific situation was that I grew up with parents who taught me financial literacy. And I think that if I had $1 million, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference because I have a lot of faith in knowing that I can do this, I have this option, I have this option, and I have this option. Well, that is actually a really helpful tool for you because your parents, the people in your life, have helped you gain that financial literacy enough for you to see how you can get to this manifestation. And you don't have any specific hindrances. You say, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm not really worried about it. So because you're not worried about it, you can look at this manifestation and be like, you know what? I would love to have $1 million. And there's nothing stopping me in my mind that tells me I'm not going to get there because I was encouraged to get this $1 million as a kid. So I'm going to go out and do it. Versus if you were not taught financial literacy, versus if you grew up in a household where you weren't allowed to spend anything, where you weren't allowed to get anything at the gas station because your parents or your family did not have enough money for that. And so you grow up with this mindset that how can I get $1 million if this, and you play a lot of what ifs, and it's a lot of scarcity mindset. It's you living this fear mode, this fear and hope, survival mode. So because your financial situation brought out this flight or fight instinct in you that will stop you from actually having good feelings about receiving this $1,000,000. Sometimes it doesn't, because you're like, wow, I could change so many people's lives, like, if I just had this. And for others, it can cause a bit of friction, because you're like, well, who the fuck am I to think that $1,000,000 is just gonna fall in my lap when my family was struggling this whole time, and because they're struggling, I didn't get to go to do these certain things that other people got to do. I didn't get to go snowboard. I didn't get to go on vacation like everybody else. I didn't get to do all these things that all these other people get to do, because I wasn't able to have that opportunity for myself. So what makes me think that this is going to happen for me? You have to look at every single belief that you have currently and see whether or not it's helping you or it's hurting you. So do that with every manifestation. If you say, well, I want to get this dream car, but my feelings towards this dream car is that I'll never get it, or that there's something stopping me, or people are telling me that's the ugliest car they've ever seen, and when I get it, they're going to make fun of me. So why do I want this car? Because they're just going to make fun of me. You have to look at every single thing and realize what feeling is coming from those things, and then unlearn those feelings and unlearn what you've learned, because most of the time you learned out of a survival need. Like, if you're really insecure and people are making fun of you because of certain clothing choices, then most likely you're not going to make those clothing choices again, because you're going to be scared of their opinion. And you're not scared for a reason that they're going to hurt you or they're going to harm you. Maybe you are. But most of the time, you're just going to be scared because it's a fight or flight instinct that your psychological part of you, that the psychological part of you is worried about. You're not physically going to die because somebody laughs at you. You know what I mean? But the part of you that's psychological, your consciousness is like, oh my god, that does not feel good. This must be the end. And so you have to look at all those things. And most of the time, it's trauma built. Trauma learned, I should say. And so I'm going to wrap this up with a little bit of basically a conclusion. Most of the time, the things that are stopping you from manifestation is your own beliefs. And beliefs are just ideas that you think over and over and over and over and over, because either it was repeated to you, or because you've had a lot of experiences like that one, or because you've had the same experience continuously with different people, or because you've had that particular experience a lot with yourself. And so you have to look at all these different aspects. Most of the time, they're not what you expect to be. Like, for example, if you're somebody who doesn't have an abundant mindset, but you're trying to get to that point of manifesting abundance, you have to erase all of the negative mindsets or the negative thoughts that you have around abundance, because most likely you just learn them out of a fear instinct. You're scared because you didn't have enough. Or if you did have enough, but people made you feel like shit because you had more than them, then, you go through that. And that psychological thing of like, oh, I don't deserve this because everybody hates me for having this. So I don't deserve this. Because clearly, why would people do this to me if it wasn't true? And so basically, you have to go back and unlearn all those things that you previously learned through your life experiences, and our life experiences are just life experiences. So you have to go back and erase all those things that you think that are true, because they're most likely not true. And so how do you manifest? Go back, erase all those things that you think are true, and reconstruct from what is actually true. And what is actually true is that you do deserve all the things that you ever wanted. Even if you've done things in the past that were not so great, forgive yourself. And, just with the same mentality, do the same thing for other people. Like, for example, if you're like, well, I want to manifest a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner. And you're like, well, every single person that's fucked me over, they don't deserve love, blah, blah, blah. No. Move past those things, because not every single person is going to be like those. and just be like, okay, we're going to manifest this type of person. And I'm not going to be scared that they're going to be like the last person, because that doesn't help. And if anything, that holds me back. So just keep those things in mind. Like all the things that you've had happen to you in your life experience, they're just that. You can take something positive from them, or you can take something negative from them. And it's up to you to decide. Sometimes those positives are not helpful, sometimes those negatives are not helpful. So take what's really evidentially helpful towards everybody, not just you. And then once you've unlearned all those things, you're able to go back and actually analyze and relearn what you actually want to use and what will actually be helpful towards everybody and you. Everybody and you. You and everybody. So, with that being said, Amanda's here. Thanks for tuning in and tapping into A Can of Heaven. I know that these are pretty short, but the last couple ones that I've done have been kind of long. So I'm trying to get back into getting these under 25 minutes. So, and I'm sorry if you could hear the plane going by. Anyways, thanks for tuning in and tapping into A Can of Heaven. I upload Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And as always, take everything that I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not your life, I'm not your shoes, and I'm not here to give you all of the things that you need to learn, because you do that on your own. But I hope that this was helpful, regardless, in any way, shape, or form. Whether or not something clicked for you, whether or not you just found some shit relatable. So, yeah. And this whole month of November is going to be me purely talking about manifestation, the things that could stop you, the things that help you, how to do it, what it is. And yeah, so if that's something that you're interested in, follow, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. I upload on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, it's there. And also upload on YouTube. Upload these videos. And if you see me in the same outfit, is because I'm uploading a shit ton of these the same day, just because my life in the next 3 months is going to be very hectic. And I'm going to be very, very busy. So, I think that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in and tapping into A Can of Heaven. I upload Mondays and Fridays. You already know that. Thanks for tuning in and tapping in. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.